Hey, what's going on? It's Rick here, and I did a video back on December 10th about this. This is Google Wi-Fi. I picked up the 3 kit, or the 3 set, which includes 3 of these kind of pucks that you place around your house. And since that time, I've had a lot of you ask questions in the comments of that video. If you haven't watched the video, by the way, I encourage you to do so. I'll link to it in the description down below, as well as a link to the product itself. But I had a lot of questions about a few things became very evident that I need to clarify as well. And since it's been about a month that I've been using Google Wi-Fi in my home, I wanted to give you a follow-up kind of feedback and what I've experienced. Now, let me go ahead and provide this clarity up front because I had a number of you ask me this. No, Google Wi-Fi is not an internet connection. You still need some form of an internet connection, whether that be DSL, cable, whatever it might be. You need to bring that to the table. What Google Wi-Fi is, it is a system, a mesh kit that allows you to connect these devices to your internet cable, whether it be a Cat5, Cat6, whatever it might be, fiber connection into the Google Wi-Fi pucks, and that will serve as your Wi-Fi router, so to speak. Now, if you use, let's say, a cable modem, these are not capable of having a modem built in. So you're still going to need that cable modem. So you will need, basically, you're going to have your internet come into your cable modem. And then from the cable modem, it's going to go to your Google Wi-Fi device. And then it broadcasts out from there. Now, in my example, I'm in a 3,200 square foot home. That's why I got the 3-pack. I have a dedicated DSL connection. It's a gigabit connection of fiber. So this is all I need. Basically, the fiber goes straight into the back of the Google Wi-Fi devices. It sets up my wireless networking kit or network, and boom, it goes throughout the whole house. And I've been incredibly pleased. I came from 2 airport extremes, and my speed difference is massive. So again, for details on that, you can go back to my original video, link to it down in the description below. Speeds haven't changed. This thing has been rock solid for me. I've only seen it basically reboot once, and that was when it did an automatic update of the firmware. But it's been much faster than my Airport Extremes ever were. And that was the latest generation of Airport Extreme, the ones that look like towers. And it can route the traffic appropriately. I don't see any handoff issues. I haven't seen disconnects. I haven't seen drops. I haven't seen anything out of the abnormal that would lead me to believe that there's a problem with the Google Wi-Fi system. I have seen from time to time when I've gone into a different portion of my home where my Wi-Fi signal dropped a bar for a second and then it popped back up. Now I assume what I'm witnessing there is it's hopping from one point to the next. Remember, I've got 3 of these set up in my home, but there's no loss in connection, no loss in anything. So I am very, very pleased with this. Again, the 3-pack costs $299. A 1-pack, I believe, is $149. Let me go ahead and answer some of the questions that came up in the feedback of my original video. I'm going to scroll through here and answer them for you directly. So a lot of compliments, so thank you very much for providing that. So here's the first question. It says, hi, so how do you connect the switch from modem Google Wi-Fi switch computer? Let's say 2 computers are connected to the switch this way. Will the Windows file sharing function still work? Will both computers be categorized as if they're in the same network? So basically, as long as you've got a switch set up, yeah, it's going to work just fine. As a matter of fact, that's how I have mine set up. I'm looking over here because my initial Google Wi-Fi device is set up right to the right of me here. It only has 2 gigabit Ethernet ports on it. So one is immediately taken up by your incoming internet connection. And then what I've done is I've taken the second port and I've got a cable that goes to a gigabit Ethernet switch. And then I can add all of my cables in from there, and it works flawlessly, simultaneously. and you shouldn't have a problem doing it that way if I understood that question correctly. Another question. Can you connect these via Cat5? Let's say I connect a modem, Google Wi-Fi, computer A via Cat5, and in another room, Google Wi-Fi, computer B via Cat5. Will this work? I don't see why not. What it sounds like you're talking about is actually what I've got set up. I'm using Cat6e cabling, but these devices can speak to one another wirelessly, or for the backhaul, you can transmit it over a Cat5 or a Cat6 cable. And that's what I'm doing for one of these devices. So this one, again, I've got the internet connection coming in, going to the back of the Google Wi-Fi puck. The other port goes out into the switch, and then I think that's an 8-port switch, if memory serves me correct. And then I basically got a bunch of cables going to my gaming system, my PC that's in here. And then I've got another one that goes all the way to the other room where I've got my second puck set up, and it's connected to that. So the Ethernet backhaul is transmitted over that cable versus wirelessly, which should work just fine. So hopefully I answered that question. I had, of course, a number of people mentioning competitors, Amplify, which is another good system. You know, the reason why I went with Google Wi-Fi is the simplicity of it. Again, I want to say this up front. If you're somebody who wants to get into the system and tinker with it, Google Wi-Fi is probably not for you. This is a really simple solution. You're not going to have a ton of options to change around the settings. And it's very affordable at $299 for 3, much cheaper than Amplify or any of those other ones. The Amplify is a really good brand. The thing that held me off on that is that the repeaters that you plug in, or I shouldn't call them repeaters, but the secondary and the third units that you would plug into a wall, those don't have jacks on them. So they're pure Wi-Fi only. And I wanted something that had a couple of ports on it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other questions here. I had somebody say, I mentioned my Nest cameras a couple of times. And this gentleman said, my cameras are connected to a Netgear extender and are constantly dropping. I'm not sure if they lose connection because of the extender or because of Xfinity Wireless. But he's glad to hear that Google Wi-Fi plays well with them. And yes, it does. Again, I've been using it for a month now. Nest thermostats as well as my Nest cameras have never dropped off. And you know, if you've got a Nest cam, you can look in your history and see where the camera has lost its connection. I have 0 instances of that happening over the past month since I've made this switch. So really, really nice. Another question here. I am waiting. This looks like it's from Photo Music Man. By the way, just to call out the others, the question before was from C. Paul Courtney. Before that, the comment on Amplify was from Danny AR. And the first question was from Chuck. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one from Photo Music Man. He says, I'm waiting for this to be released in the UK. At the moment, I use an Apple time capsule and an Airport Extreme and Express as extenders. When I buy Google Wi-Fi, will there be any way that I can still use the time capsule to back up my Mac, even though I won't be using it as a router? I don't know. Theoretically, I think that you could, maybe. I'm not sure. Probably go on Reddit, take a look at the Google Wi-Fi group, or you can even take a look at the Google Wi-Fi official forum. And I believe I've seen that address there. I don't want to say yes or no on this because I'm not 100% sure. Another question here, another comment from Gweeds. It says, I'm pretty much in your boat, have Apple routers, don't trust them to get updates in the future. Might still do Google Wi-Fi, see how it goes in a couple of years. Herm says, can you plug a TV and an Xbox into the second point, or can you only add in one Ethernet, let's say Xbox, and one to the router? Can you hardwire 2 things on a point since the first one's connected to the router? Again, in that situation, if you want more expansion capabilities, get a gigabit switch. That's what I did, and that's what you would need to do. So remember, these only have 2 ports on them. First one's going to be used by the incoming connection. If you want to add more than an additional one, you're going to use that secondary free port, plug it from the Google Wi-Fi device to the gigabit switch, and whatever size switch you get, a 5-port, an 8-port, a 24-port, that's what you get. So that's your solution there. Let's take a look at a few others here and see a lot of comments. Let's see, this is from Michael Parks. Can I connect 2 of these together via Ethernet? Yes, you can. That's that backhaul we talked about a little bit ago. And use the second port off of one of the remote ones to provide a wired connection to a home theater PC. Yes, you can do that. And that will work. So as a matter of fact, that's what I've done with some of my other ones that are connected. I have 3 in total, and that's what I did with my second one. Let's see if there are any other ones here. In our house, we run 3 Xboxes with 100 megabits using a regular Linksys, looking for an upgrade. Some really good comments, and that's from Paul Tovar. Electro says, whenever I use any non-Xfinity modem or router on my Xfinity Blast connection, I don't get the full speed. Yes, I confirm the compatibility. How does this perform? I don't know, because I don't have Xfinity, and I'd be misguiding you if I told you it was going to work perfectly with it. I can only say that in my instance, I don't use Xfinity. I have a direct fiber connection to my home, and it's fast, blazing fast. My Wi-Fi tests are coming back really strong. I did one last night on my iPhone from the other side of the house, and I was getting about 160 down and about 140 up. Never got that before on my Airport Extremes. If I do a wired test on any of my gaming consoles, or let's say my PC, this is a gigabit connection. I'm getting about 950 megabits down and anywhere between 6 to 750, 800 up. So, but that's just my example. Xfinity, I don't know. Sorry. Photo Tristan, how do you get a gigabit up and down on DSL? You must live like right next to the central office. I had this question come up a lot because people were like, how did you get a gigabit? Believe it or not, here in Northern California, we're in a particular area that is one of the first to get gigabit speeds. It's not Google either. This is through CCI, and it's about $69 a month, if you can believe that, for a gigabit up and down. And yes, we were one of the first neighborhoods that they laid fiber to the home, and we're super close to the CO. So it just works out pretty awesome. And let's see, we've got a couple of other questions about what exactly is this. That came from Danny Walker. Hopefully I answered that and addressed that in the beginning when I talked about the need for an internet connection still and what this does. This blankets your home in Wi-Fi, so it's going to make sure that every corner of your home has a strong Wi-Fi signal, because a lot of homes that are bigger, if you got one router, sometimes you go in corners of your home or different areas, your signal drops, and so does your speed. This prevents that from happening. Almost done here. Let me take a look at a few others here. I think that might be it. I have internet service. Can this replace it? No, it cannot. This is not internet service. Again, you'll need to get your own internet service. And that was from OxyClean. And I have Jeff P, who says, hope you're still reading posts. Yes, I do. I try to read them all. Unfortunately, lately I've been so busy that I haven't been able to be as responsive as I'd like, but hang in there because I will do my best. If you want a really fast response, hit me up on Twitter at Metagamers. I will always respond as quickly as possible there. Your question was, if you Cat 5 each satellite, does it matter what floor of my house that the main base is on? To clarify, could the main be in the basement and one satellite on the first and second floors if using Cat 5? I don't see any reason whatsoever that you couldn't do that. If you're using a network cable, it really doesn't matter as far as placement goes. Now, speaking to that point, something that's a little bit of an interesting thing here with Google Wi-Fi is when you do connect via cable, it takes a while for it to register and recognize that. What I mean by that is you can run an app test with Google to see how your connection is. And I was seeing initially that when I ran an app test, it was saying that my second device only had a moderate strength. And I was like, that's weird because it's wired. But after a while, I think it just needs time to catch up. It recognized it and said full strength. So kind of a little thing. I think they are still working some of the kinks out with the app, but it works well and there's no service interruptions or performance issues. So back to your point, it really shouldn't matter as long as they're all wired. Let's see if there's any other kinds of questions here. We are almost to the bottom of the comments. What's the max number of units you can use? Don't quote me on this. I saw this back in December from Google. I think they said for most people, 3 is enough. The max units you could hook up, I think they said no more than 8. Could be wrong on that. You'll want to go to the Google forums and double check. And then... let's see, Ace4311, do you have the Xbox and PlayStation hardwired? You should see about Eero. Yeah, I looked into all those other ones. All of my gaming systems are always hardwired. That's the best way for me. And let's see, Brant Hambrick says, how's it doing with walking around the house? Any handoff issues? Nope, none at all. Like I said, sometimes I'll see the signal drop. It pops back up as it does the handoff, but there's no sort of issue there whatsoever. So... I think I answered them all. You can use a glass of water after that. But basically, it's pretty awesome, I gotta say. And as long as you don't need to get into the whole tinkering and really want to get under the hood of your Wi-Fi networking, this is an outstanding solution. I have no regrets whatsoever. It's been rock solid for me a month then. The speed is massively improved over what I was using before in the latest generation Apple Airport Extremes. And it just works. So very, very pleased with it. Highly recommend it for anybody who's looking for a simple, rock-solid solution. A 3-pack's going to run you about $299. One of them's $149, but it kind of defeats the purpose because it's a mesh networking system. But one would work fine too, I guess, if you wanted to. If you guys have any other questions on it, leave them down below. Hit me up on Twitter at Metagamers. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button for even more content. I will catch you guys next time.